Sinkholes. Imagine that you open the front door of your home and see a giant hole where your front yard used to be. Would you know what had caused this sudden transformation in the landscape? This phenomenon is not just a scene out of a Hollywood movie, and it happens more often than you may think. This type of hole is called a sinkhole. Sinkholes form when the rocks beneath the land's surface are dissolved and removed by underground water sources, creating an underground hole. The surface above the cavern eventually collapses and leaves a depression. Some sinkholes form suddenly and can cause catastrophic damage, while others form more gradually. Sinkholes range in an area from a square meter or a few square feet to many hectares or acres, and they range in depth from under a meter to many meters. How do sinkholes form? Some types of soil and rock contain material that dissolve readily in groundwater. Limestone, gypsum, and salt baths are especially soluble. Sinkholes form most often in areas where the bedrock is made of these rocks and minerals. As groundwater dissolves and removes the bedrock, an empty cavity is left behind. The cavity grows until there is no bedrock to support the soil and rocks above it. At this point, the surface collapses into a cavity and a sinkhole forms. This can happen over months or years or all at once. The timing of the collapse depends on the surface soil and ground cover. The composition of soil differs from place to place. In areas where the soil has a lot of sand and few plants, the soil washes into the cavity as it grows, filling in cracks and holes. This process gradually forms a visible hole in the ground. If plants are holding the soil together, then the surface may gradually sink as the cavity grows and fills with soil. But clay soils are sticky. They hold together much longer than sandy soils. In areas where the soil is made mainly of clay, there may be no sign of a growing cavity for years. Then one day, the soil covering the cavity suddenly collapses, taking everything with it. Sudden sinkholes can be dangerous to human life and cause extensive property damage, especially in populated areas. When sinkholes form, they significantly alter the landscape. Because sinkholes have no natural drainage surface system, they readily fill with water, forming natural ponds. If there are local sources of pollutants, groundwater within sinkholes can be contaminated. Preventing the problem. Mining, construction, and pumping groundwater can trigger sinkholes. Groundwater pressure on the cracks and holes that it fills underground. This pressure helps to hold the rock up. Groundwater is pumped from wells to water crops or for city water. Some of this groundwater is replaced by rainwater. In times of drought, heavy use of well water causes groundwater levels to drop significantly. Without groundwater pressing on the rocks, they cannot hold up the land above them, and the sinkhole forms. Limiting the use of groundwater in time of droughts can help prevent sinkholes.